We're back. It's the Rose Tackle Football Show. I am your host, Michael Rose, here with Brother John. What's going on, Brother John?
Hello. We need a little jingle, something like this, a little graphic, like old Peyton and Eli, five-head Peyton over there.
Yeah,
Man.
for sure. We could use a little Peyton and Eli jingle. It's a somber show today, I got to be honest. I really don't feel like talking about football or looking at football or thinking about football. I'm wearing my Chicago Enforcers jersey today because I think, if they were still around, I'd just transition my fandom over to the Enforcers and start being an XFL fan. Because quite honestly, that's what it feels like I'm watching, is a fucking XFL team every week go out there and try to compete. So
I don't know. I feel like maybe the XFL team would run a better offense than Nagy at the very least.
It'd certainly be more creative. That's for sure.
It's flabbergasting, but
it is maddening. Let's not dwell though. Let's get to the good stuff. What the good folks of the RTF audience, the RTF loyalist, the RTFers are here to hear about, right?
RTFists?
The RTFists. Okay.
RTF-stonians?
RTFians.
RTFian sounds good.
Yeah. The topic of the week, Mr. Bill Boylan. Bill Boylan came through in a big way for himself, for the league, for everybody.
This is incredible.
He took down Steve, noted Aaron Rodgers fan and noted Bears taunter, Bears fan taunter.
We're on to him though.
Bill took him down, and in doing so, earned himself 25 cold ones. Hard dollar bills, cash money.
Indeed.
It was a hell of a matchup. Bill, I believe, one of the few people that picked himself to
one of two.
Who was the other person again?
I believe it was Charlie that took him.
That picked him. All right.
Let me.
Bill took down Steve in a hell of a matchup that went almost down to the wire, really.
That was a close one.
It was a pretty close one, and in doing so, congrats to Bill. Won $25 off the league pool. Another update, though. Somebody who didn't have quite as good a week and is in a little bit more trouble than Mr. William Boylan. That's one. Who is it, John?
Your college roommate, my future brother-in-law, Portugal to Ken.
Portugal to Ken. Having a rough week. It's not just that, he's the next person off the island, but I think the first to 0-3, the only 0-3 team in the league, really off to a rough start here in the league.
Yeah, and I'm surprised. I felt like Ken took a tough loss, and he didn't lash out or blame anyone, which I was a little surprised by, obviously, as we all know him, because there's a great opportunity to do so and to really push his blame on someone else, i.e. Michael. And when Ken texted us early, it was early for me, before the first slate of games, and was like, tell me I should start Fields. Michael almost immediately responded, do it. And they had a back and forth that essentially pushed Ken towards starting. Like, I feel like Ken was probably 80% of the way there, but certainly there was a lot of upside talk coming from Mike over here.
The reality of the situation is Ken would not have won had he started Ryan Tannehill. He still would have lost, albeit not as in quite an embarrassing manner. But he would still have lost that matchup. There was
You
only,
think
I
so?
think, a 17 or 18. Yeah, I'm looking at the numbers. There was only a 17 or 18 point difference between Fields and Tannehill. And,
Oh yeah.
he wasn't going to make that up. I mean, I think the bigger mistake that Ken made is starting Robert Woods over Mike Williams in a game where he knew that Mike Williams was going to have to, where, the Chargers were going to have to throw the ball a lot. And actually, it ended up, the game script actually ended up working, I think, in the opposite way of what a lot of people thought it would, just because they jumped out to that big lead. But still, Mike Williams put up 31 points. Looks like he's, much to my chagrin, the not the number one receiver on the Chargers, but I think like co-number one with Keenan
For
Allen,
sure.
and a guy that they're clearly looking to for these big chunk plays. Whereas Keenan Allen is certainly the possession receiver. He's going to continue to see 10, 11, 12 targets a game and get peppered with those targets. But, Mike Williams in the red zone has been targeted a lot, and on these big chunk plays is the guy that they're looking to go to. So
Yeah.
I
Meanwhile,
think that was
Robert
the
Woods,
mistake
though.
that
Yeah. Robert Woods, who Ken kept for 3 years, and he's under contract for the next, 2 years after this year, and really has to determine whether he, if he thinks he can trade him, or hopefully it starts to turn around, which it will. Like, there's no way that Woods is going to continue to be outside, the top 24 or whatever he was. He's probably not even in the top 30 in receivers at the moment. But once teams start to key in on Cooper Kupp, I think we'll start to see some benefit. But that only starts to make Ken's choices even harder on who to start there with.
For sure.
Mike Williams and Robert Woods, and then Michael Thomas coming back in a few weeks.
For sure. All right, let's move on from Ken's team. We got a quick little power ranking update for you. I'm going to pull up the screen here. We had some big jumps in the power rankings this week, most notably, according to the computer power rankings, and Brendan Fitzgerald is going to be thrilled to see this after taking down the AI machine last week, and really going at the computer power rankings that we had here. Brendan jumps all the way up from spot number 7 into the number 1 spot, overtaking Steve. Steve drops down to number 2. There were some big changes in really the top 8. The bottom 4 did not change at all. The bottom 4 continued to be Charlie, Bill, Kelly, and Ken. Bill jumping up a couple slots from last place. Ken moving down into last place, likely because of that 0-3 record. But in the top 8, a couple things stand out. What's the biggest ones for you, John?
For me, the biggest ones. One, yes, Brendan's El Bombolero's revenge tour continues, and I don't know if we've seen quite a revenge tour get off to such a hot start as we've seen.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to dive into the history books, the sports history books, to find some other revenge tours and see how they started out compared to his. I think it's a pretty compelling storyline right now. But the biggest thing for me, at least, is the fact that my 2 division mates are sitting 1 and 2 at the moment.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get to that.
Personally, that's very disheartening. And other than that, we see Alpha Peter slowly climbing his way back up. I think, team got off to a slow start, but it's starting to move that way and is looking really good. You rounding out the top 5 is also great. And, Sully is looking strong as well, which, we all were interested to see what he did with his draft capital. And he's put together a strong team so far. So that's exciting.
Yeah, we will see where this goes and update you in the future on this. The power ranking calculations, just to give you another sense of this, most of what it's looking at is wins on the season, win-loss record or streak, your win-loss streak, the roster based on Fantasy Pros ranks, overall matchup wins. So that's, if you played every team in the league every week, how many wins you would have. There's some sad numbers there.
Oh my God, Kelly.
Ken and Kelly.
Ken.
Ken and Kelly only getting 7 victories. And then scoring consistency. Again, Kelly with a befuddling, the only negative there, which was
Yeah, I don't
pretty
really understand. So how do you go? I mean, I guess I don't understand how that works. As Steve aptly pointed out, my math skills are not great. So if someone can break this down in the group chat for me after this comes out, please do.
I'm fairly certain closer to 1 is the most consistent. So
Okay.
but I could be off there. And then your average points scored is to round it out. So
cool.
Let's jump away from here. But yeah, that is your power rankings update.
Is that available?
Yeah, I'll share this document again with everybody now that it's been updated.
Okay, but it's available on the RTFL Google Drive, which everyone has access to.
Yeah,
that houses
just as a
all
reminder, you do have access to the RTF Google Drive that you can check out. All right. A couple news and notes from this week. Nothing too big. The reinstatement of one Josh Gordon has caught the league a little bit of interest in the league. At this point,
man,
I don't know.
I don't understand. Is he just like, when he's not in the league, he can stay sober, so then he gets reinstated, but then as soon as he's back in the league, he can't stay sober? And is this still a weed issue? I don't know, but we'll see. I mean, he's joining the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah,
I dropped Nicole Hardman because of it.
See what happens with him. Other big one, Marlon Mack trade rumors. I'm not sure that that's a big one. Might move the needle in some leagues that are a little bit deeper than ours, but I'm not sure. Other than maybe shoring up, Jonathan Taylor as Nyheim Hines' backup, which as the owner of Nyheim Hines, pretty happy about. He seems to be the number 1 back there.
Least, Taylor's looked terrible.
So for all you
probably
looking to improve your backfield, please get at me. Hines available. Let me know.
Yeah, I don't know. Marlon Mack, I have a feeling is just gonna fuck up another backfield, right? Like. They bring him into the Niners. They bring him to the Ravens.
Baltimore,
I could see Tampa Bay pulling him in. I could see the Rams trading for him if Darrell Henderson's still injured. Looks like the Raiders have a pretty good situation with Peyton Barber and Kenyon Drake as backup. So I could maybe he goes to Seattle. I mean, they seem to be out on Rashad Penny. But either way, it just seems like there's not really a situation where he lands and he's the number 1 and he's getting 60% of the touches. It's more, I think he's just going to go mess up someone else's good day. So
yeah, for sure. Probably mine with Trey Sermon. The thing that actually, a quick aside that really sticks out to me about the Marlon Mack situation is just how, guys like him and Todd Gurley, who are both, I think Gurley's 26, Mack is only 25. To be that young and to have your career essentially be over after being so productive for a few years, it's just kind of mind blowing.
Well, with Mack, it was his Achilles, right? That he blew. Which is interesting because then you're looking at like Cam Akers, Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
can Marlon Mack come back and be successful? Will Cam Akers be able to do that same thing? Or,
Yep.
are we all just out on those two people at this point where, I mean, Todd Gurley with his knees, gosh, Kerryon Johnson, I think is a better analogy to Todd
Marlon
Gurley.
Mack.
Well, Todd Gurley.
Kerryon Johnson was never as good as
no, but his
guys,
knees deteriorated.
Oh, the knee deteriorating.
Yeah, just like Todd Gurley, just like hometown hero Brandon Roy out here in Portland. Blazers
Indeed.
could have been.
Well,
amazing.
we don't need to get into a Blazers thing. All right, so I think that's about it for
that's about
news and notes parts of this. I mean, there's not too much on the waiver wire that was going on this week. I don't know if there's anything you want to hit there, but I didn't see anything that stood out to me. Oh, wait, no, there was one thing that stood out to me that I just gotta call out here. Where is it? It was there was a defense that was really in contention this week. What was it?
Huge.
Oh yeah, Tennessee. Everybody was really excited about picking up Tennessee's defense, and you won them for $11. I guess we should just see what the offer sheet.
No one else bid.
Oh wait, nobody bid. Wow.
Yeah, it was kind of shocking. I thought
what the fuck happened there?
I thought Bill was going to be bidding like pretty big. Like, he had dropped hints that he was putting in waiver wire bids on defenses. So I got very in my head, and I started at 5, then it went up to 7, and I was like, Bill's going to go double digits. I got to get to 11. It was a big waste. The big waste, but
I'll say. All right. Other than that, nothing huge. Rashad Bateman goes to John for $2. Tim Patrick, who I dropped a couple weeks, or I think last week, goes to Fitz for $5, and Josh misses out on him. But
no trades out there for the last couple weeks.
No, I think it's that part of the season where you're kind of mellowing into your team, seeing what you got, right?
Yeah. Well, I think we'll start to see a couple trades happening.
Hoffman, maybe you're looking for a couple trades.
Yeah, let's get into that then. Let's get into the divisions. Let's see what's going on. We're through the division matchups, weeks 1 through 3. You face your division opponents. Now we're getting into this, and so have a pretty good lay of the land here.
So we're going to take a quick tour through each division, and I do mean quick. We're not going to spend too much time on this. So let's start at the top with the Hallis division. Hallis division, myself, Josh, and Bill. Bill went 0-2 in his division matchups. I went 2-0. Josh went 1-1. I think I would be the first to. Well, since I'm involved in the division, I'll give you a second comment on it.
Yeah, and looking at this, it makes a lot of sense where you are 2-0. You've scored the most points in your division. But you've also had the most scored against you. You've had the least scored against you. So most scored, least against. Makes sense that you've taken down a couple of these matchups. However, you've made some good moves, and I think San Diego Web Surfers, even though they dropped quite a bit in the rankings, and Bills further down, Bills had a lot of injuries, so I will excuse that. I think Josh's team is still very strong and has a good chance to compete for the division title.
I think I would be the first to admit that Josh's team is better than mine. Christian McCaffrey getting hurt really puts a dent in that.
Chuba Hubbard is available for trade. Chuba Hubbard available for trade.
What ultimately turned out to be, I ended up winning by more than 30 points in that matchup, but I do think it's fair of me to note that for Josh, that both McCaffrey and AJ Brown went out early in their matchups and ended up with, very, very few points.
Yeah.
So I do think, I'd give Josh the top billing should McCaffrey come back healthy,
And
should AJ Brown be able to stay healthy.
Yeah, that's an interesting
I'd give Josh.
side note there. With AJ Brown, it sounds like Julio's also dealing with
Yep.
a hamstring injury, and while Julio has always played through those for the most part.
Yep.
All
right.
Tennessee Titans. I think Derrick Henry might see 35 carries
for sure. All right, let's move on. Next division, the Buddy Ryan division. This is comprised of Brendan, Steve, and one John Rose. I'll take it away first, and then let you respond. I think you're sitting in a division with two of the best teams. Steve clearly, I think, his team's been fantastic thus far. Fitz's team has been fantastic thus far. But I do think this division is a little bit closer than it looks. Your team also, you have 3 of the top 5 point scorers in the league right now in that division. So we'll see what happens. I think you also have the 2 teams that have the most points scored against them, which is you and Fitz. So I think this division is one that's kind of ripe for some parity and is going to be hotly contested throughout the year. And it's unfortunate, I think, for you that you couldn't escape with one division win, because that 0-2 division record, hurts a little bit and might hurt down the line.
for sure.
And that 2-0 division record for Steve is certainly going to help out down the line.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that I have the second most points scored against by playing the two guys getters.
That scored the most points.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I thought there's an outside chance there that I was going to catch Brendan there last week, but Mike McCarthy's play calling, where they were 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, didn't give it to Zeke. Instead, tried to run it in with Dak, really screwed me, and I ended up screwing. The nice part is I ended up screwing Steve too, because Dak didn't get that touchdown, and so that's, I guess, one benefit. But either way, it's a tough division, that's for sure. And
Certainly.
With Steve still having over $100 in Fab, Brendan having 87. Unfortunately, if there is further injuries in the NFL, they have quite a bit of money to go out and get some reinforcements.
Yep. They sure do. They have the upper hand there. All right, let's take a look at the Lovey division. Lovey division, the only one in which we have a 3-way tie in terms of record. Everybody is 2-1. The Average Peters, the Alpha Peters, and Alec, whose team still does not have a name. Insert new name here. Is not a name, Alec. It's not. It's just not a name. It's you're declaring your intent. Really, I think this is an open call for us to call you whatever you want, but I'm going to refrain from that.
I feel like there's some sort of bylaw we should have written in that, if you don't have a name within the first 4 weeks, we get to name your team for you.
Okay.
But they're also all 1-1 in their division, which is shocking.
They're all 1-1 in their division. The division as a whole, the point spread between them in terms of how many points they've all scored is very narrow. From 358 with the Alpha Peters, 356 with Alec, and then 330 with the Average Peters. So I think, another one where a division winner or a division lead maybe hasn't been clearly defined yet. I think obviously Kramer, the Alpha Peters, have a bit of the upper hand there, being the reigning champ, having brought back most of his team from last year, or most of the starters at least. Maybe has a bit of the upper hand, but the other two teams in that division could easily compete for a title.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see where this one goes. Alex brought back a good team as well, and like we said earlier, Sully's got a great team too. So it's gonna be a battle, and they're gonna really fuck up some other divisions. I feel like they were probably one of the strongest. They were the strongest division last year for a while, and so can't count them out on any of them. I mean, we very well could see all three of them making the playoffs, which would be devastating for the rest of us. But
I mean, I think the reality is I think when I look at those rosters just real quick, I think the average Peters and the Alpha Peter definitely have the most balanced attack. Alec is a bit top heavy and is going to be relying most weeks on Mahomes and Henry. But if you have to pick two players to rely on, the best running back and the best quarterback in the league are, probably the that you want to rely on. So that'll be an interesting race to watch. All right.
I mean, I actually really like Alex's team. I mean, then looking at it, you've got Marquise Brown, who has dropped how many touchdown passes?
Don't
in the last
love
couple
Hollywood
weeks?
Brown. No, I mean Hollywood Brown, Josh Jacobs.
God
don't love
forbid Allen Robinson and the Bears ever figure it out. Like, he's got a great team.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
I'm suspect of Alex's team as you go further down it, but I do think that top end of it is top notch.
Yeah.
All right. Last but not least, we've got the Ditka division.
Wait, hold on. Hold on.
Okay.
I'm sorry. You said last, but not.
But not least. So I guess maybe it
Can we
is
go back
least.
to the power rankings real quick?
Yeah, actually, that is a good call. So what do the power rankings have in common? Well, 3 of the 4 bottom teams are in the Ditka division. So maybe it is last and least. Not just 3 of the 4 bottom teams, but 3 of the 4 least amount of points scored teams. Charlie at the top there with 310 points and having a 2-0 record division, a 2-1 record overall. Really, as everybody knows, bolstered by huge performances from one Devontae Adams, one Aaron Rodgers.
Sure.
But the story of this division is really there's been a lot of bad luck as things have gotten off to the start here for Ken and for Kelly. I do not envy those two, but I do think Ken, despite Ken's a rage quitter. As anybody who's ever played a video game with him or heard him play a video game or watched him play a video game knows, Ken has a tendency to rage quit. And I think, fantasy football, I don't think he'll rage quit on. But I do think he has a chance to get back into this. He's a good team that just isn't performing at a level that you would have expected it to perform thus far. And he's got a winnable matchup this week against Alec Loesch's team. I think that's a matchup that he could win. So we'll see there.
I mean,
Kelly
tough,
Kelly's playing the Alpha Peter this week. And that's going to be tough for her to beat him. But all she really needs, is Dalvin Cook to come back. And she could end up having, a pretty good week. I think.
Maybe.
If I'm gonna be frank, she probably should have picked up Madison. Because not to toot my own horn, but that was a hell of a pickup last week.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he was, he was kind of like a Mike Davis type guy last year. Like, not great, but good. But if you got an oft injured running back, you got to pick up the handcuff, and what you're going to get out of him. An RB2, he's going to be good. He's on a good offense. But yeah, it's tough. Charlie putting up a decent amount of points on the year, getting one of the lowest points against, though. I think that will be trouble going forward. He's played Kelly and Ken now, and so that contributes to his low points against total, because they are averaging dear Lord, it's math again. Less than 90 points a game, which hopefully will change for them. Less than 90 points isn't going to cut it, especially when you have the fifth and sixth most points against in the league. That's just not going to work. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity there. I mean, if all three of them are 9 through 12, or the last third of the power rankings, what you're looking at now is not necessarily to have the best records, just to make the playoffs as the division winner.
Which one of them's going to do. So we'll see what happens.
All you got to do is just beat your two division mates at this point. Wild card opportunity is not where you're looking for. It is just to beat your division mates, and I think any one of them could do that. One of them will end up the division winner, obviously, but any one of them still has a chance to do that.
Most definitely.
So,
but we've got a long way to go.
Moves got to start to be made in that division, and we'll see who does that. I mean, I think it's going to be whoever gets the most aggressive first. You got to take your shots. You got to go out there and make some trades. I think Ken has the strongest bench out of any of them to make some of those moves, but you got to be willing to part with people.
We'll see what Ken does. We'll see what Kelly does to kind of bring their teams back into contention. I'm not going to hold out hope that Charlie's going to do anything, but
yeah, I don't know if he'll be making
all
any moves.
fodder for down the road. We'll see how these shake out. I think for now we'll leave it at that. Any parting words, parting thoughts, John?
Yeah. So we're out of the divisional matchups phase, and we're going inter-division now. And so going to get a good look at some of the other divisions' teams. So won't go through any specific matchups today. And one other thing to note is week 6 is the beginning of the NFL bye weeks, and then week 6 will be our next weekly prize. So we'll have a couple weeks in between here, and we'll get into that later.
All right. Until next week, which maybe we'll have a little bit of a special show next week. More on that later. But until next week. This has been the Rose Tackle Football Show. For Brother John, I'm your host, Michael. We'll see you next time.
Have a good night. Someone teach me math.
Tackle Football Show.